Oh, I'm sorry. You were going to talk, aren't you?
Yep, but it's just getting started. Let's see here. There we go. Hello, hello. How are you doing today? It's Saturday, and um, my name is Jamie, and this is Knit Until I Die. I live in Wyoming, and I'm a crocheter and a knitter. Um, Today, um, I'm working with a cone of cotton. Um, and I decided after thinking for a while last night that I wanted to make another top and see if I could get another top out of what I have left. Um, and so I'm working on the first cup. It's a really fairly easy pattern. Um, I got it from Passionate Kelsey on her website, Passionate Goods. Um, and I think I told you wrong last night. It's not the Lily top. This one is, oh, I told you right. I think I said last night that it was like the Valerie top. This is the Lily top. Um, and I'm doing the size small. I did extra small, so now I'm doing small. Um, and I am almost done with this particular um, cup. It's pretty easy. It's most of the pattern is just single crochets. I am actually using a 5.5 millimeter hook, which is larger than what is called for in the pattern. Um, However, this one's the one that for me is working out the best. Um, what else? We got to go to a community event today at our little mall. They had a winter small business fair, and pretty much from one end to the other end of our mall was completely filled up with different vendors. There was stuff that was 3D printed. There were the cups that you put the labels on. Well, people had already put the labels on and they were, selling them with the different sayings and the different pictures. Um, and there were a lot of different types of things. There were a couple of food vendors out there. There were a couple of like metalwork vendors. There was a plant vendor, and my mom stopped off to talk to them. They sell air plants, and mom knows them. Of course, they're local to us. I got to meet um, a lady by the name of Amy. She runs Voodoo Crochet, and I met her online um, last week, and I was able to go out and meet her today in person. Um, and that was nice. Um, my mother was able to find something that she's been wanting for a while. And I didn't buy anything because honestly, I've already pretty much got everybody's Christmas gifts together anyways. I did pick up a couple of the, a couple cards. Did it again. A couple cards of folks that were vendors there. One lady makes felted animals and gnomes and different things. So there was a lot of stuff to look at out there. I got some video of the Christmas display for where they're going to have this well, it's the Santa Claus house where kids who go to the mall to see Santa, where they go, and the little bench that they sit on, and some of the toys and whatnot that were out there as decoration. And then of course we had to do the pickup at Walmart, and then we came home. But it was nice just to kind of get out a little bit and do something a little bit different. I'm pretty much at this point a house hobbit. I'm not real big on leaving the house. I like to stay inside where it's warm, and where my yarn is. However, it was interesting to go and see the different vendors and the different things that were being offered. And some things were created by hand, some things were created by machine. And then there's, of course, some stuff that was like mass produced, which is fine. It just was an interesting venue to go look at. Now that we've been and we came home, I'm good to stay home for the rest of the day, the rest of the weekend actually. But the mall was decorated for Christmas. I was kind of shocked by how many spaces for rent that they had open, that didn't have stores or something in them. But I know that our mall is under new management recently, like in the last 2 years. And I have a feeling that that may have something to do with it. But I also know that it's really expensive to rent any type of space out there. There's also a small business thing going on downtown, but we didn't go that direction. That one, I'm not too sure how well that one's going to fare, because I guess they're putting in like metered parking, or expanding the metered parking for the downtown area. And they're making it that, if you have a vehicle over a certain length, you cannot park downtown, which makes sense because the streets are so incredibly narrow. And it's just hard to get by if there's a very large vehicle parked. Our town was not built for the modern vehicles and stuff that we use now. I have some other cotton yarn that I will be using later on. It's the Bernat Handicrafter cotton. It's the Bernat comes in a lot more colors than the Lilies. I can't remember if it's peaches and cream or sugar and cream, because one are the small rolls, and then the other one are the cones. And the ones that I have right now are the cones. Although I know actually where there's some of the where I have some of the cotton that's in the little balls. We purchased it from the Dollar Tree when they had it for a really good price. You had to order an entire case of it, which wasn't a problem. But I didn't have, we buy our yarn, and yes, sometimes we end up storing it, but we are working through our yarn as well, using it. I am really quite pleased at how easy this pattern is. It makes pretty good sense to me. And realistically is not hard for me to remember, which I really like. It works up fairly quickly. And is realistically not a problem at all. I was worried that it might be harder than what I thought. 5, 6, 11, and 12. But realistically, it's not that hard. And it's a really nice pattern. She put in several good photos, and she may actually also have a tutorial for this one. I'm not sure, but this one is definitely something that I can remember. And I think once I get a hang of how the different sizes, how you change it to get to the different sizes, I think I will be cooking with gas. I did the extra small yesterday, so I thought I'd do the small today, because I was afraid if I went any larger, I probably would not have enough of the yarn on the cone to finish it. I may be playing yarn chicken anyways. And if I am, I have some white that I can trim it in and do the straps. Although that's not exactly how I wanted to do it this time. It's an option if I run out of yarn out of the red. Like I said, I bought this stuff a long time ago. I got it on really good discount. And I cannot remember if I got it from Mary Maxim or if I got it from Michael's or if I got it from Joann's or if I got it from Yarnspirations. Back then, those were the places that I was bulk ordering stuff from when they had clearance sales. I also got quite a bit of stuff from the Dollar Tree, but that stuff, for the most part, is still in its boxes. So I know what that is because we ordered Bernat Blanket Tiny from them. And then we also I ordered some of the Red Heart, what's it called? They're roving yarn. It might be called Boutique. I can't remember. Along with the cotton yarn. I got that stuff from the Dollar Tree because it was way less expensive than buying it anywhere else. I really have not been on the Dollar Tree's website. I do know that they have Premier yarns now, but I would just be wary if you have never worked with Premier yarns. What Dollar Tree has is it's not bad yarn, but right now it's more like eyelash yarn. And I did buy 2 skeins just to see what it would be like working with it. Is it something that like I could make scrunchies with, or other items? However, I got really kind of grouchy when I was working with this yarn because it's an eyelash yarn, and so you cannot see your stitches. So instead of being really upset by not being able to see my stitches and not being able to really feel my stitches, what I did was I just decided to put it into a corner to corner. I have some more yarn in my room that I'm going to throw on this. It's not going to finish it, but it'll make it a little bit larger. And just continue working on that one. When I come across skeins that are almost gone. I really like using up yarn when I can. I don't like having stuff just kind of hanging around. Especially open skeins. I really, 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 I did that wrong. I really like having the yarn. I did that one right. Didn't I? Nope. So I just like really using stuff up and getting rid of the evidence. Not that Mom doesn't know what I'm doing, but using up the yarn and then getting rid of the tags and whatnot, so it's not taking up space in my boxes. 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11, and 12. So yeah, that's kind of that's going to be an ongoing project. That's not something I'm going to finish anytime soon. I also have my crochet pants that I'm working on. Again, that's going to be a long-term project. Mainly because it's just going to take quite a while to finish them. So it's almost December 1st, and who will you be watching for Vlogmas. I'm personally not doing Vlogmas, but I am going to do a video, a live video every day now until, every day now through New Year's. So it's probably going to be a little repetitive, but I'm trying to meet new people and just kind of expand my base from where I'm at right now. So Saturdays at 1 o'clock are my normal live time, and I'm going to continue that. I'm going to continue that into the new year. I do like going live. I wish I could go live from my phone. However, I don't have enough followers yet to be able to go live from my phone. So I am working on my engagement and on just getting to the point where I'm more comfortable in front of the camera and I can talk to you more like I'm talking to a friend, to my mom, to the dogs. Maybe not to the dogs, but definitely to my mom or a friend. And it's something that it's going to take a while for me to get comfortable doing. A big part of that is that I'm just not comfortable usually in social situations talking to people. And although this is great because I get to stay at home and talk to you, it's also kind of hard because I don't have anybody talking back to me or continuing the conversation with me. So it's learning how to be more comfortable and trying to come up with things to talk about and realistically work on myself and work on my goals. However, I know that working on myself and my goals is not going to be something that happens quickly. 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So it's just something that I have to work on, and I know that. I love to knit. I love to crochet. I'm not necessarily the fastest person at knitting or at crochet, but I'm getting better. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That looks a little bit better. I like crochet because it's so much easier to rip out and redo. And if you're new to crochet and knitting, you might not understand why people call it frogging or tinking. So when we rip back in crochet, rip it, sounds like a frog. So that's where frogging comes from. In knitting, they will sometimes call it tinking backwards. And basically what tinking or to tink is knit backwards. And so basically you're undoing your stitches. So you're tinking backwards. And while we were at this small business fair, there was another person that had crochet out besides Amy. And what I decided from seeing their two booths is that color changes are very important. And how you do those color changes are important because you need clean lines, especially if you're trying to sell like crochet amigurumi or crochet plushies. It's important to make sure that your lines meet up and that your colors are in the right spot, because otherwise stuff just doesn't look quite right. The other thing that I noticed is how you stuff your plushie. Actually, my mom noticed how you stuff your plushie really does change how your plushie can look. And one place that we visited, this other crochet vendor, they had octopuses, octopi, and I knew what they were supposed to be. But Mom said that they looked like they could sit on top of toilet rolls. And she was right, because the way that the plushie had been stuffed, it was not rounded. And so I have watched other people when they make their stuffies and they stuff their stuffies or their amigurumi, they make sure that as they're stuffing it, it looks the way that it's supposed to and feels the way that it's supposed to. And if it doesn't, they fix it right then and there. And, nothing against this one crocheter, because obviously they had spent time and money to make those plushies. And, realistically, they had some really nice colors. The only two issues that I saw was that they really didn't look quite the way that they were supposed to. And I don't know that someone that doesn't crochet would notice what Mom and I noticed. Maybe they would, maybe they wouldn't. It's just that if I were making stuff to sell, I would want my stuff to be cleaner and more organized and really look like what they're supposed to, like Amy's did, versus this other table of crochet. And she didn't do just crochet. She had a bunch of other stuff. And I was not taken aback, but she said that she used the plushie yarn. There's a lot of different yarns that you can use to make plushies. Most of them are going to be a chenille type of yarn. So, your Bernat blanket, the big twist, what's it called? anyways, there's a lot out there that you can use to make them. And she had a really good eye for color, but her lines were not clean and things just weren't quite shaped right. Her loaf cats looked flat. And like I said, the octopi, their heads just were not rounded, like you would normally see. Because I've made an octopus before, and I've made a couple small ones, and the head area really needs to be um, more rounded so it looks like what it's supposed to. Um, but it may have been her first couple of times doing that type of crochet too. I don't know. But I'm just used to, if you're going to tell me what yarn you use, or tell you about the yarn, maybe give me a name or like a company. If you can. I didn't like her saying it was made out of plushy yarn, but that's maybe how she knows it or how she views it as. I don't know, because those yarns can be used for so many different things. But putting yourself out there is not easy, and I would never tell this lady what I thought of her her items, because she could be new to the hobby, or maybe this is the best that she can do right now. I don't know. And it's not, even though in my mind I can kind of pick apart what she had out, I would never say that to her face. And I wouldn't talk to her about Amy's booth, or talk to Amy about her booth. That's just not appropriate, I don't think. However, it is interesting for me to see what's out there and to see what other people are doing, and then to also in my own head critique what I'm seeing, and recognize that there's things that I would not do, and also recognize that there's things that I would do if it were me. So all in all, it was a pretty good morning. Mom's here in the living room with me, being quiet as a church mouse, working on her Tequila Sunrise hexagon sweater. I can't wait to see it all put together. I really think she's going to like it. She found a hat that I made downstairs a long time ago, and it just needed an end weaved in. So she brought it upstairs and weaved the end in. Like I said, I am notorious about my ends. That's not something that I enjoy doing. So I tend to leave it until I have a pile, and then do all of them kind of at once. It's nice. All the snow that came last weekend is gone for the most part. It's still pretty chilly when we go outside. I think it was like 35 degrees this morning, Fahrenheit, when we left the house. Um,
Chill.
I didn't include the chill factor
Just wind.
because we do have wind like most days. Wonderful Wyoming. I don't know if you can see this above my head. Looks like you can. That is actually a picture made out of yarn, and my great-grandmother is the one that did that. There's another picture in my bedroom with the cardinals, and she also did that one. She's the person that taught me actually how to crochet in the very beginning. She taught me how to make chains. And I kind of just meandered on from there. But she was my maternal grandfather's mother. And she was a school teacher. And she and her husband had 2 boys, my grandpa and my uncle. And what you probably don't know about me is that I call all of my aunts and uncles, whether they're, well, for the most part, they're actually great aunts and great uncles, but I just call them aunt and uncle. I only have one aunt that is my mom's sister, and she lives over in just over the border in Nebraska. So she's not very far away, and we get to see her and her husband fairly frequently. I think right now only 2 of my cousins live in town. And then I think the other 2 right now are living out of state. So I don't get to see the ones that live out of state very often. One of the ones that lives in town, we don't see her very often. I used to see her more often when we'd go out to eat more frequently, but since I don't like to do that anymore, and we really haven't been, Mom and I haven't been doing that, we haven't seen her. But I have another cousin that's here in town, and anytime we need something, he is Johnny on the spot, and he comes and helps us. He is just, he's the kindest soul, and he's such a good guy and really does help my mom and I out a lot. And I just, it's not that I don't love his sister, because I do love his sister and her kids. But Joel has always held a special place in my heart. He is so much like my mom, and and like Papa. The 3 of them were just, peas in a pod, and they are just some of the kindest people you'll ever meet. And it's not that my aunt and I can't be kind, because we do work to be kind, but it's just different with Mom and Joel, because their innate answer, no matter what, is yes, I'll do it. Even if it's going to cost them money or going to cost them time or whatever, the answer is always yes. And they're always thinking about others. So they're just some of the kindest people that I've ever met. And yes, I'm biased because it's my mother and my first cousin, but they are who they are. Three. What else? Oh, remember to hydrate. So, are you working on any specific projects today? Are you making any crochet projects for family or friends or knit projects? Are you ready for the Christmas or holiday season? We're not putting up decorations. We're not putting up a tree this year. We're not. We're not doing the whole McKelvey experience. My grandmother was one that um, let's see here if we can fix this. My grandmother was one that was always wanting to have the biggest and the best Christmas. And, we had to decorate outside, we had to decorate inside. We'd put up the tree, we decorated the mantle, we'd bring down all of the different well, not even all of them. We'd bring down Christmas houses and set up the Christmas village in the living room. And she had so many of those Christmas houses that we could not put them all up. And then another thing that we always had to do was we always had to make a ton of cookies. Her peanut butter cookies with the Hershey Kisses in them, or her sugar cookies that then we had to sit there and hand decorate, frost, and they had to look a specific way, and they had to have certain colors, and it was Mrs. Claus and Santa Claus and the reindeer, the stars, the bells. Sometimes we'd have some dogs on there. My grandmother had so much energy almost her entire life. She just would go, 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 go. And she loved Christmas. And so she would decorate the entire house. She would decorate outside. She had lighted deer. She had lights that hung off of the, what are they called? That kind of hangs off of the roof. She had these garland that were lighted that always had to be outside, and they had to be wrapped around the wrought iron railings, and like, whew, just thinking about it makes me want to take a nap. Not really, but it, she was always someone that just had to have all that stuff up and going. And she said that she did it for the kids and for the grandkids. But I'm gonna let you in on a secret. She did it for herself. She loved Christmas. She loved Christmas. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 18, 19, 20. Okay, so now I should have enough to do my little railroad tracks. So we would hand out cookies to the neighborhood, neighbors in the neighborhood. We'd go out and look at Christmas lights, drive around town. And as a kid, it was always like, I don't really want to do this. But I had to go because I was the only kid in the house. And Grandma always was up to something. She always had something up her sleeve. And, she was always trying to invite people over for like holiday meals. I think mainly because she thought that if they didn't come here, they wouldn't have a holiday meal. Still wrong. So, yeah. Do wrong here. Well, it'd be helpful if you put it the right way. Okay, let's see here. Right there. Yeah, I need one more. I don't know. My grandma was quite the person. She worked for the school district. I think she retired when I was like in 5th or 6th grade. And then she and Papa did some traveling. They did some antiquing. I mean, they'd done a lot of that already. However, now that they were both retired and Mom and I were out of the house because by that time we'd moved across the street, Papa and Grandma would go off and do things, just the two of them. They'd, take the motor home and go places. And then even after they sold the motor home, they would still go places and, go to Reno, go to Vegas, meet up with cousins and family here and there. And it was quite an experience growing up with Grandma. Papa was always so laid back, and my grandmother was not. And I think that that's where I get my my sense of I have to be doing stuff. I got to do this. I got to do that. Making my lists and stuff. I got some of that from her. One spring we had gone up to, or was it summer? Might have been summer. My papa took my grandma and I and one of my cousins, one of my older cousins, who lives in Colorado. They took us up to a family member's ranch, and we're in there that night. And I think Papa had probably already gone to bed, but Grandma and my cousin and I we're playing cards. And my cousin tells my grandma that there's a snake up in the light. And Grandma's like, yeah. So I look and there's a snake wrapped around the bulb. So I tell Grandma there's a snake in the light. And she's like, whatever. She would not believe us. She thought that we were pulling her leg. Well, after she put us to bed, she realized that there was a snake in the light. And that light stayed on all night long. And then the next morning, Papa's first duty as far as grandma was concerned, was to get that snake out of the house. So I definitely got my fear of snakes from my grandmother, which is okay. We live in Wyoming, and so, yes, we have rattlesnakes, but for the most part, where I live, you're not going to run into them. You might run into a hognose, or you might run into a garter snake, but realistically, you're not going to run into anything that would be venomous. Um, but that's because I live in town, and I really like living in town. um, I am definitely not a country girl. I'm not a big city girl by any means, but I am definitely not a country girl either. I'm more of a small town girl. Because I'm definitely not a fan of big cities. And I'm not a fan of living out in the country where, your water or your electricity could be off for a week or longer while you're waiting for it to get fixed. Here in town where I live, if, our electricity goes out or there's a problem with the water, because we live in one of the main cities, immediately they start working on it. And they'll work on it like 24 hours a day till it's fixed. And so realistically, we're usually never without water or electricity for very long, um, which for me is like a godsend. I definitely, definitely do not like it when the electricity is out. We have bottled water and stuff when we need it. So, if that goes out, Mama and the dogs have water for a while. So we'd be okay that way. But when the electricity goes out, the Wi-Fi doesn't work. And when the Wi-Fi does not work, um, there's not much that I like to do online that I can do until the electricity comes back and I get the Wi-Fi back. Because the problem, we have cell phones. We got rid of our landline a couple of years ago, and our cell phones realistically are our phones. However, because of the service that we're on, if electricity is out and our modem and Wi-Fi are not working, yes, our phones work to an extent, but we won't have like 5G here in the house. You have to actually go outside to get 5G, which that seems kind of weird to me. But then again, we live in an old house, so there could be lead paint all over the place, and we wouldn't know. Grandma and Papa wallpapered everything except for the wood. And it's this wallpaper has been here my entire life. As far as I'm concerned, this is what these walls have always looked like, which isn't the truth. I mean, it's the truth for me. But when Grandma and Papa moved in, I know they looked different. This wall had a full floor to ceiling, side to side mirror. And what's left of that mirror after it came off, because it came off in like chunks, they have a huge mirror above the mantle, above the fireplace. But that's all that's left of the massive floor to ceiling mirror that was here. I know that they had, because there's a ton of woodwork in this house, in the ceilings and the doors and whatnot. And I know that they had to strip every piece of wood because everything was painted. And then they had to sand it down, and then they refinished it. And everything is back to like their natural colors of like oak and I think maybe walnut. But don't quote me on that. But like there's a ton of wood, and even in the basement there's a lot of wood. It's not pinyon pine. It's pine. And it's not something that I would ever put up. There's nothing wrong with it. It's not something that I like. However, that knotty pine is like all over in the basement. And Grandma and Papa had to refinish that and, take care of all of that. Because this house originally didn't have a basement. It just had kind of like a potato cellar that you kind of could like crawl into. And then sometime after it was built, it was put up on jacks and the basement was put in. And so the house and the basement don't exactly jive 100%. And the house and everything around the house is kind of like settling differently, which happens with older houses is they will. Oh, did you want to come up and sit? Did you want to come talk? Oh, okay. Come on up. This is Mr. Humphreys. Huh? Yeah. Yeah. Oh, you're such a nice boy. Yes, you are. This is my miniature dachshund. I know it's kind of hard to see, but he actually is a black and tan. Aren't you? Yes. You're such a sweet boy. Yes, you are. Yeah. Yeah. But I guess my point was my grandma and papa put a ton of work into this house. And it's a massive house. It's 3 bathrooms, 2, 3, 4, and 5 bedrooms. Tons of closet space. I suspect that this house was used early on to kind of be a storage spot for illegal things. There's 3 different attic spaces that you can actually store stuff in that are behind closets that have little doors that you can get in. And I don't know if they were running booze or what furs, who knows. But they were doing something that they probably shouldn't have, and they needed to have a place to hide it. But yeah, we still have the organ that came out of a church that Grandma had refurbished, and so it's in pristine condition. I mean, she and Papa, the things that they bought, and they stuffed this house completely full. Completely full. So, yeah. Well, it's been about an hour, and I'm thinking that it's getting close to somebody's dinner time. So I guess I will say my mantra and my my goodbyes. Remember, you're wanted, you're needed, and you are loved. Be kind to everyone, including yourself. And I will see you on the next one, which will be tomorrow. Have a great day.